Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we speak with the members of the Newcastle metal band Rituals. They talk about winning Cranks the Deal competition, getting signed to Marshall Records, playing Download Festival for the first time, their new EP I Found Myself in the Dark, their formation, their upcoming Irish tour, and more. Yeah. So the first thing I just want to ask was, I know that Rituals kind of formed as like a college band back in I think 2018. I was wondering if you could just talk a bit about like forming, how you guys kind of got together.
It was just me and Ewan in college just wanted to play riffs. Really, we just wanted to play in a band and do things like just we wanted to play a couple of gigs, muck about. We didn't really kind of take anything seriously, did we?
Well, I think we had similar interest in music,
Mhm.
and we were both very bored.
Yeah,
I think that's what it came down to.
yeah,
So perfect timing.
yeah,
And then
pretty
just
much.
over time, we started taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah,
Until 2020.
yeah.
We
Lockdown
kind
kind
of
of hit in. We just put some songs out, but the original kind of like formation of the band was like there was no real like sort of grand moment where I was like, oh, we need to be in a band. It was just kind of like, oh, we'll just do it because it'll be fun. And then kind of developed into the biggest stress of our lives, but it's fantastic.
So what sort of like what was the common music you guys were like listening to at that time?
Oh,
You weren't really you like Slipknot, but you weren't really into metal as such.
yeah, I was kind of like I was like discovering metal at that time, so I was like finding out about bands. Ewan was just going, "Have you heard of these? Have you heard of these?" And I was like, "No, but I love them." I was just like going through like obsession phases. So like Ewan introduced me to Limp Bizkit, and I pretty much listened to the Chocolate Starfish album front to back so many times that I think I started to go insane, and I thought all the guitars were going out of tune on the album because I listened to it that much.
I remember.
I was sitting there with the headphones, I'm like, this is out of tune. He's like, it's not out of tune. It's one of the He's like, no, it's out of tune. It's out of tune. And then like we all just you kind of like pushed me in a
Yeah,
direction.
we kind of
that music.
Alter Bridge at that point in time was probably our like joint love. I was into Trivium, While She Sleeps, stuff like that was kind of where I was listening. But then we've kind of met in the middle,
Yeah,
now where we kind of like the same music.
Yeah, like I think like I heard the music described as brutal but melodic, and I think that's like a very good descriptor. Yeah, I was wondering like was that kind of the intent then when he was making music to make something that had like a sense of melody to it?
There was definitely because you can't beat a sing along, can you?
You can't. I mean, we were talking about this today, weren't we? We were saying like it's not really.
It's not forced.
Yeah, it's not forced in any way. It's like
not a formula.
There's not a checklist, you know what I mean,
It's
where we
just-
sit there and go, it has to be melodic. We've done a song like In Devastation where it's barely got any melody.
yeah.
So it's kind of, it just happens to be that that's something we enjoy and it crops up in our songs. But we never sat there like, this needs to,
No, I think
trying to force it in.
It's all pretty much kind of like depends on like a per song basis, really. Like things change where like something will go, well, this suits this or that suits this, and like it just kind of we find out where the song's going to go, like because Ewan writes it and then we kind of all get hold of it and have a little sit down with it, and I think it really is just like it's per song, but I think off the back of collectively all four of us being in the bands that we're into and having the inspirations that we have, I think that's naturally the route we go out. Well, this is how we make our music. This is what our music sounds like. And then it's just been a case of like just discovering that and exploring it more and kind of like figuring out how to embellish certain different things. But for the most part, I think it's just who we are as people. That's how the music comes together, really.
Yeah, and so your new EP is called "I Found Myself in the Dark," and I was wondering how you feel. I don't know, this like EP differs from stuff you put out previously, or
I think it's probably just the most like cohesive.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's probably the most we've had one consistent sound between more than one song.
Yeah,
because it was kind of intended as three singles. Each song was very different.
Mm.
Whereas this one, I think there's a similar sound, but it's kind of pushed in different directions per song, which is something I think we're all really happy about.
Yeah.
And it's, I think that's what we're going to continue to do.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. So it actually started as three just different singles. So they were sort of recording that with the intent of making an EP. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the EP itself, like the one we just released, we were actually working on it before we had won the deal with Quran.
Yeah.
So we, at the time, were kind of planning out how we were going to release the music just ourselves. So at the time, it was just a few singles, and then Marshall, like the label, like, oh, we'll do an EP. So that's when everything kind of came together. But I think at the time, the songs actually did sound a little bit more varied to each other, and I think off the back of it becoming an EP and us listening through all three of them together and then working with like everyone that we worked with, I think that's where like this more cohesive sort of sound for the EPs come from, really. But I mean, everything we ever do, we start off with a plan, and by the time we do it, we're over here, and the plans here, but where we do it somewhere. So like, no matter what we plan on doing from day one, it's never going to be what we end up doing.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think so many things change on the way. I think that's the case with most bands as well. I think you're never going to get the intended result as an outcome, because it's always going to change. But for us, that was like what felt like was the most comfortable way to go about it.
Because it actually started off, I sent our producer George, I sent him a folder of 27 different ideas for songs.
Yeah.
These are all good, but it sounds like you're writing for 27 different bands. It was like, so we need to find some sort of sound and kind of hone in on that a little bit. And then it was literally, I think within 3 weeks, the 3 songs that then ended up being on there kind of came together, because we kind of found little bits between all those ideas and we're like, this is cool, do a bit more of this.
Yeah.
And it kind of just took shape from there.
Yeah, and you mentioned there Marshall Records. This is your first release with Marshall. Yeah, I think like their lineup is very varied. Like you get like a real different sense of like music. Yeah, I was wondering how you guys feel like you fit in there. Or...
Yeah, I would feel completely at home with the whole thing. I mean, we know we are a very heavy band compared to a lot of the artists that they house, but we never feel like that's been
an issue.
Yeah. They just seem stoked on what we're doing, and like they seem to really enjoy working alongside us, and we love working alongside them. And I think it's like we were all very wary about working with an actual label because we never have done before. But the entire process has just been like, I think it's probably one of the easiest thing about the entire year so far. I think it's been working with Marshall, just because they're so good, and like, you know, working with like all the different people on the team there, you just feel like it's people who have got your complete best interests at heart, and it's just an extension of the band. So it really is, it's class.
They've got a really good understanding of heavy music as well. Like they could tell what we were going for, and they weren't like, this is too extreme or anything like that. It was kind of, this sounds a bit like Parkway Drive or whatever. You know, this is cool.
Yeah, I think like Marshall. Sorry.
On the label.
Yeah, definitely, because like you're saying.
Yeah, I think Marshall's like just a really interesting label at the moment. Like it's so like we were saying, like it's just so varied, and I think it's like getting some like really interesting acts on it. I was wondering for you guys how you feel being on a label now differs from being an unsigned band. Do you notice any significant difference? Or
I think it's probably just like having people to work alongside with, like things happening, like because we're like every single day we're always doing something. And I think it feels like it moves at a faster pace when you've got a team of like 3 or 4 people at a label also doing things for you. And it's like
emails are coming through saying this is happening.
It's like we'll do like X, Y, and Z during the day, and that's how I'm going to move to an ABC. And like by the end of the day, the results and the kind of like the to-do list gets smaller but also bigger. And I think it's just the one kind of thing we've noticed is just like the workload's increased, but the label kind of step up and go, right, we're going to do this, and this. And like, you know, like just even alone, just like them handling the distribution side of things with the music, like that there alone is like, it's mental to us. Like we just give them the songs, and then from there they put everything out for us, whereas we were used to doing it all ourselves. So
it used to give me the fear. I was always worried I put the wrong mix up or something
Yeah.
like that. And I wouldn't have until release day because you can't really check. So I didn't have that stress this time around, which is good.
But no, it's been just like it's been a really new and exciting process for us, really, because it's been everything that we've been able to work on with them has been class. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, and obviously as part of the Krang deal, you guys also played Download this year. I was wondering what that was like getting played out for the first time.
Something that we all dreamed of doing for like such a long time. And then when it was actually happening, it was surreal.
Because you've been before, haven't you, Dom?
I've been once.
Yeah,
Matt has been once, but
never been.
These two have never been.
Yeah. We said when we started the band when we were 18, we won't go to Download unless we play it together, which I know is a ridiculously ambitious thing to do. But we did it.
Borders on it.
It borders completely like
deluded.
Cocky, but it was just such an awesome day. I mean, like, well, the weekend really. It's like I never really understood the scale of Download. I think that was the main thing for me. Like the gig was absolutely incredible. Like the show was phenomenal. But like I never understood how big things were. Like just like main stage alone. I remember standing every time I was at the main stage, I was like, why is it so big? It's huge. Like there's just so much. And like for us to have actually been involved in that and like our name on the poster and like
on the t-shirts and
on
stuff.
the t-shirts.
That's what got me.
Yeah,
on the t-shirts. People were
watching hundreds of people walking around with like these t-shirts on and went, well, there we are, right there. So it's like it was just a total like dream come true to really do it.
It felt really comfortable though, because we've played so many gigs with not great sound or whatever that when you get to a venue where it's so loud. It's so many wedges on the floor. Loud. You can crank everything up, and you've got loads of room. It's like, well, this is what we want. You know what I mean? So it was easy from that that spot. But we were absolutely decking it before.
I think we were, but I think it was like collectively, I think all of us were so nervous that we all just kind of chilled each other out on top of that, because like when we stood side stage, I mean, we stand inside stage when they were introducing us, and there was just thousands upon thousands of people in this crowd, and we're all like, what is going, like, why are we, like, how? And I think like it was just the moment we all stepped on stage, it was just kind of like, right, this just makes sense. It was just like, this is where we're meant to be. And it was just absolutely mental, really. Yeah, just mental to play our songs to that many people. Just makes me want to do it every single day.
Yeah,
I want to do it every day.
Well, that was like, I think that's like a huge sign then that like you actually see kind of the growth of the band, and that like in a very tangible way. I mean, obviously, like when you sign to like a label or something, that's like a really big thing. But then again, when you play something like that, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's really in the moment. It's really like an oh shit kind of moment. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, like, there's no greater way to be able to play. Like, there's no great way to measure like how well the band's doing, I suppose, than to play a show in front of 8,500 people and be able to see hundreds of people all sing along. And like for us, like that's from songs that have been created in a bedroom in Newcastle to being brought to a stage at Download Festival. I think like that's testament to just the support we have, because it was just being able to be on stage and have that I mean, being the first band on the Avalanche stage on Saturday, everyone's hungover, everyone's tired. It's like 30 degrees.
I would have stayed in bed.
I wouldn't have been up in there, but I was like, it was ridiculously hot. But the whole tent was completely packed, like front to back. There was no room in it, and I think that it's just like, it goes to show the support that not only we're getting, but also just the metal scene's getting at the moment. Like, there's more sold out shows than ever. I've never seen so many sold out shows before.
In big venues as well.
Like bands playing like huge shows, underground bands getting amazing opportunities, and I think that's like testament to how alive the scene is at the moment, and to be able to be a part of that and a part of kind of like the new kind of wave of like a new like kind of uprising of metal, really, I suppose you could say. It's class for us to be able to be involved within that. And it's just sick. I mean, it's just sick to do.
So many great bands kicking around.
So many good bands. So yeah, I think it's just kind of like the whole scene is really alive at the moment, and that's a good thing to really see as well.
I actually want to plug a couple of Irish dates you're doing at the end of the month. Playing 24th Fred Zeppelin's Cork, 25th Whelan's Dublin, and 26th Deerheads Belfast.
It is correct, although the venues have changed literally.
Okay.
So it's still Fred Zeppelin's on the Thursday. We're playing Below Bar now in Dublin.
Yep.
And then Belfast, where Voodoo. Yeah, we're playing Voodoo in Belfast. But it's still the same cities. Just the venues have changed a tiny bit.
Yeah. It's actually a co-headline with Archives. I was wondering if you guys are excited to come here.
Yeah, I mean, we're on day 2 of 3 of the England leg of that tour with them right now. So we did London last night, which is sold out, and I mean they're already we're already getting on really, really, really well. So we've never played in a different country before. Never travelled that far for a show. So I think we just want to do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be nice to be able to travel to a different place, play. I'm looking forward to buying a pint in euros. Yeah. I'm looking forward to spending euros. I just think that'll be really fun to play a gig and go out. It'll be €6, which is probably really cheap. It's probably going to be like €10 a pint, though.
In Dublin, anyway.
Getting a ferry to a gig.
Getting a ferry. I think
that's something in itself.
It's going to sink.
No one luck.
But no, we're just very, very excited, and again, just a great opportunity that's kind of just adding to the list of mental things that have happened this year, really. So we're very, very, very lucky.
Yeah, and actually, one last thing I'd like to ask is, so you're talking about this kind of now getting to play internationally. Is there any festivals across Europe or something? Because Europe has so many sick metal festivals. Is there any particular ones you guys would like to play someday? Or
Hellfest. Yeah, want to play Hellfest.
There's loads.
Vakken.
Yeah, watching Video Trivium there yesterday.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It's not small, is it?
It's not small at all. Small does not. Hellfest, Vakken. Rock am Ring for me is a huge bucket list festival play. So I think
there's an indoor version of that as well. Is it Rockin' Park?
Rockin' Park, yeah.
That always looks mental. It's banned on 3 a.m.
Yeah,
just kicks
absolutely nuts. So yeah, I mean, to be brutally honest with you, any European festival that will have us will play, just because we are so ready to play Europe. It's mental. So just any European festival that would have us, but I think Hellfest would probably be the big. And if we played Hellfest, it would be just have our name amongst those thousands of other names. I think would be pretty nuts. But yeah, man, I mean, just any European festival would be an absolute dream come true.
Perfect. I guess that's the last thing I'll ask. I'll just say, is there any what are your future plans, and is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I don't really know what future plans we can kind of talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff kicking about at the moment, so we'll see how that turns out. But it's all exciting.
It is. It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
I can't see it. Anything.
Okay.
I guess the other thing would be, we say it all the time, but thanks to everyone who voted for us for the Quran Radio, the deal, because it's changed everything. It's given us such a leg up.
Yeah.
And just helped us get closer. We did 5 steps in the time of doing 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was really important to us.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much for your time, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, mate.
Catch you later.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more.